Yes, today we are with our unit 3. This is the last unit of our SEM 4, okay, in micro. So this is general equilibrium, okay. So here what we are doing, we will discuss about the economy as a whole. Just going to discuss this chapter. Just before going to discuss this chapter, let me sum up what we have done earlier. Initially we have done with the demand supply, then we are going to the consumer behavior, right? So the consumer behavior section is exclusively for the consumer or the demand side. So that chapter is basically discussing with the demand side. Okay, some new concepts are there like indifference curve, budget lines, but actually it is dealing with the demand side of the market, right? Then after we are going to the production cost. So this is what, this is the supply side. Huh? How the producers are behaving, how they are taking the decision, what are the factors behind the decision. So we have discussed all under the production and cost. Okay, so this is nothing but the supply side. Then after we are going to the market, where it is the interaction between the demand and supply. Okay, and the market is also divided in two parts. The first one is the product market and the second one is the factor market. Okay, before going to the general equilibrium, again I just want to tell you one thing, that in the input market, one part I didn't discuss, that is the monopolistic exploitation and monopolistic exploitation. That part remains. So let me give me some time, I will definitely discuss it, huh? But before going to that part, this is the general equilibrium. So what is the speciality of this chapter? Here we will discuss about the welfare of the economy. Okay, welfare of the economy as a whole. Look, in the economy there is a producer, there is a consumer, they are interacting with each other, but no one is interested about the welfare of the economy, right? Everyone is interested about their own welfare, own utility, right? So no one is concerned about what will be the effect of his behavior for the economy, right? So in the general equilibrium we will discuss that when the consumer will change the decision, producer will change the decision, how it will affect the economy, the welfare of the economy. Welfare is measured again in terms of the utility of the economy as a whole. Okay, it is not the utility of the consumer. Hmm. Because in the economy there is a consumer, there is a producer, right? For the consumer there is indifference curve, for the producer there is isoquant. So it's actually the club. When we are considering economy as a whole, that means we are incorporating consumer and the producer in our domain. Okay, so here we will discuss how the behavior of the consumer and producer will change the welfare of the economy as a whole. That is why its name is general. Look, it's a general, no specification is there that that will be for only for the consumer, that will be only for the producer. No, it's a general concept. So as a whole, here we have some new concepts again. The first concept is the Pareto optimality. Okay, before going to that, okay, this thing I am going to share something which I have written in my copy. So everything is in my own handwriting, no photo of from any book is there. So this is the general equilibrium. Now look what we discussed about the consumer. When we discussed about the consumer, this thing is something related with the consumer only. We just assume the supply is constant, there is no influence of the supply. When we are discussing about the production cost, etc., then we are discussing about the producer only, just assuming there is no influence by the demand side, right? So this is why this type of equilibrium analysis, that is the equilibrium for the consumer, equilibrium for the producer, these are called the partial equilibrium analysis, because we are taking care of only a section of the economy. The whole economy is not in our concern. Okay, so this is the partial equilibrium. So whatever we have discussed before this chapter is a partial equilibrium analysis. The general equilibrium is actually the club of all those partial equilibrium analysis. As I said, in the economy, there are consumers, there are producers. So we have to consider them as a whole. So here they will represent the economy as a whole. They are not consumer, they are not producer. They are just a part of the economy. Okay. So that is why it is a general. So you can understand where is the difference between the general equilibrium and the partial equilibrium, right? So general equilibrium means when we will consider the economy as a single unit of discussion. And in case of partial equilibrium, we will disaggregate the economy under the consumer and production heading. And we were discussing the equilibrium of each of the subsections. Okay. Now, here the new concept is the Pareto efficiency. What is Pareto efficiency? This is something new. Okay, and we have not discussed about this type of efficiency earlier. So this concept is given by Wilfred Pareto. That is why its name is Pareto efficiency. What it is? Okay, just give me. Let me explain it. Say there are two individuals in the economy, right? There are two individuals in the economy. If the situation is like that, you can improve the welfare. Remember, welfare means the utility. Okay, in general, it is the utility. Because then you can understand it easily. Actually, welfare is not the utility, but okay, very much similar. But anyway, we are going to explain welfare in terms of utility. So, say there are two individuals in the economy. If the situation is like that, you can improve utility of one individual given the utility of another individual. I'm explaining again. You can improve welfare, that is utility, no? So you can improve welfare of one individual given the welfare of another individual. So you are not affecting, you are not influencing welfare of the second individual, but by rearranging the resources in the economy, you can improve welfare of the first individual. If the situation is like that, then it is called Pareto inefficient. Okay. Then what is efficiency? Efficiency means, say the same situation, there are two individuals. Here, if you want to improve welfare of the first individual, you have to reduce welfare of the second individual. Okay, so there is a trade-off. If you want to improve welfare of the first individual, you have to reduce welfare of the second individual. This is called Pareto efficient situation. Okay. So Pareto efficient means if you want to improve the condition of one, then you have to reduce the welfare or the benefit of others. And Pareto inefficient means given the welfare of all others, you can improve welfare of a single individual. So this is called Pareto inefficiency. So now tell me, do you have any problem with that Pareto efficiency and Pareto inefficiency? Do you have any problem with that?
Ma'am, why this trade-off thing is efficient and the another one inefficient?
No, look, efficiency is a type of optimality, right? When you are at the optimal situation, at that point only, if you want to improve welfare of one individual, you have to sacrifice. It's like just like the budget line, just like the PPF. If you can remember your budget line, along the budget line, why it is the optimal situation? Because on the budget line, you just spend all of your money, right? So at any point of your budget line, if you want to increase consumption of one commodity, you have to sacrifice consumption of another commodity. This is a budget line. This is also true for the indifference curve, right? So, okay, forget about the budget line. Consider your indifference curve. It will be easier to understand. Along the indifference curve, your total utility is constant, right? Now, along the indifference curve, if you want to increase consumption of one commodity, then you have to sacrifice consumption of another commodity. Why? Because you have to make constant total utility. That means you are at the optimal situation. Okay, your utility is constant. Here also the welfare is constant, and welfare is achieved the maximum. Here also the welfare is achieved the maximum point. Now, given that best situation, if you want to improve welfare of one individual, you have to sacrifice welfare of another individual because all the resources are exhausted already. Okay, is it okay? As it is the optimal, as it is the best option for the economy. Now, given this best option, give best option means what? All the resources are used. It may be the income, it may be the factors of production, whatever it is. It is already used. Okay, so you are at that situation. And at this situation, if you want to increase, or if you want to increase the, if you want to have the further improvement of one individual, then you have to reduce the welfare of another, because you have exhausted all of your resources. That is why it is the efficiency.
Yes, ma'am. Another thing we discuss here, social welfare or economic welfare.
No, social welfare.
Okay.
Any other question? Anything else? So Pareto efficiency and Pareto inefficiency, is it clear to you or not? That is my question actually. Pareto is the name of an economist, Wilfred Pareto. The welfare concept is introduced by the Pareto, that is why it's Pareto efficiency. This is something new. We never discussed this. Okay. So efficiency means just like you are on the indifference curve. Okay, I'm just trying to make it easier for you, but it is not at all along the indifference curve, but it is very similar to that. Along the indifference curve, if you want to increase consumption of one commodity, you have to reduce consumption of another. Why? Because your total utility is constant. Here, efficiency means you have used all of your resources. Whatever resources are available in the economy, you have used it. Now, given that you don't have any extra resource in your hand, it may be the money, it may be the factors of production, it may be anything which can help you to improve the welfare of the consumers or the producers or the individual, I should say. Okay. Now, given that situation, again, if you want to improve the welfare of one individual, then you have to sacrifice welfare of another because you don't have any extra resource in your hand. So that means you have efficiently used all of your resources. Okay. So this is the Pareto efficiency. I hope. Okay. Again, do you have any problem with that? Anyone else? Okay. Then I'm going to the next one. Now, the Pareto efficiency or the general equilibrium, we will discuss it in three parts. Consumption efficiency, you can understand, this is coming from the demand side. Production efficiency, this is coming from the supply side. And the general efficiency, that is the combination of the consumption efficiency and the production efficiency. Okay, fine. So we will we will discuss this chapter under these three subheadings. Consumption efficiency, that means how the consumers will achieve their efficiency, the Pareto efficiency, obviously. The second part is the production efficiency, that means how the producers will achieve their Pareto efficiency. And after achieving Pareto efficiency from both the demand and the supply side, how the economy will achieve the Pareto efficiency. Okay, because consumers are not concerned about the economy, producers are also not concerned about the economy, but ultimately the objective of the government, objective of the welfare economist is to get the Pareto efficiency for the economy as a whole. Then he will then the next step, that is the point C, the third point, is we will club The consumption efficiency and production efficiency, we will see how they
Ma'am,
will interact. Yes.
ma'am, is the screen being shared?
Yes.
Ma'am, I
দেখতে
can't
পাচ্ছ
see
না?
it.
না ম্যাম,
No,
দেখতে
ma'am.
পাচ্ছি।
দেখতে পাচ্ছ না তো বলছো না কেন? তা বাবা। Now is it available? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Oh,
ma'am. Now it's visible.
তো বলবে তো 10-15 মিনিট ধরে বলেই যাচ্ছি আমি না দেখিয়ে স্ক্রিন। আমার স্ক্রিন শেয়ারিং এর প্রবলেম হচ্ছে। হ্যাঁ, তোমরা যদি না দেখতে পাও প্লিজ টেল মি। So now is it okay? So consumption
Yes, ma'am.
efficiency, production efficiency, and we will club these two efficiencies to get the general efficiency. Fine. So now I'm coming to the next page. That is the consumption efficiency, as I said. First, we will discuss the consumption side and then we will go to the next part. So the consumption efficiency. Here we are assuming, just to make the thing simple, there are two consumers, consumer 1 and consumer 2. And there are two commodities, X and Y. Okay. And consumer 1 will consume both X and Y. Consumer 2 will also consume both X and Y. Okay, and there is full utilization of the resources. That means the resource is not the constraint here. So given this, that should be constraint. That there is a spelling mistake. X1 plus X2, that X1 means the amount of X consumed by individual 1. X2 is the amount of X consumed by individual 2. Okay? So X1 plus X2 is equal to X bar. As I said, there is no extra there is nothing extra. Okay, everything is used. So that is why, and there is no concept of saving this, saving, etc. That is why. Okay, so x1 plus x2 is equal to x bar, and similarly y1 plus y2 is equal to y bar. Okay, so these things are given to us. These informations are given to us. Here we are going to introduce another new concept, that is the Edgeworth box diagram. Look, again, the Edgeworth is the name of another economist. And box, look, it's just like a box. That is why it is called the box diagram. Okay, so it's the Edgeworth box diagram. What it is? It is nothing but a rectangle. And there are two origins. This is the origin of individual 1 and this is the origin of individual 2. Okay, now along this horizontal axis we are measuring the amount of X consumed by individual 1 when we are moving from left to right. Look at the movement of my cursor. You can understand, if when we are moving from this to this, we are measuring the amount of X consumed by individual 1. Similarly, on the other side of the rectangle, when we are moving from right to left, we are measuring the amount of X consumed by individual 2. So you can understand, as the constraint is saying x1 plus x2 is equal to x bar. So the length of this horizontal line is constant. This is nothing but the x bar. If this amount of X is consumed by individual 1, so the rest is for individual 2. And it will be consumed by individual 2 because our constant is x1 plus x2 is equal to x bar. So there is nothing left. Okay? Everything is consumed. Right? So the line is x bar. The length of this horizontal line is x bar. And with the same logic, the length of the vertical line is y bar. Okay? So we are measuring x1 like this, y1 like this, x2 like this, and y2 like this. Okay? So this is the origin of individual 2 and this is the origin of individual 1. This is how we are using the Edgeworth box diagram. Okay? Edgeworth box diagram. Do you have any problem with the Edgeworth box diagram? Now tell me, am I audible? Because no
Yes,
sound
ma'am.
is
Yes, ma'am.
coming.
You're audible.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Now tell me, is it okay? That diagram, that box part is okay? Very simple one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we will draw consumer. We will introduce two consumers in this diagram. So first consumer is here and the second consumer is here. So you can understand the indifference curve of the first. Look, two commodities are measured. So you can understand what diagram we can draw. It is only the indifference curve, right? So that will be the indifference curve. This is the convex type of indifference curve for individual 1 and this type of indifference curve from individual 2, right? So I'm going to the next diagram. Here, the utility function, what is written before? Yes, objective of the consumer. Very simple, all of you know it is the utility maximization. That is the objective of any of the consumers in the economy. Now the utility function. What is the utility function? First individual's utility function is u1, which is a function of x1 and y1, and the utility function of the second individual is u2, is a function of x2 and y2. Okay, very simple. Now we are going to draw this indifference curve here. As I said, these are the indifference curve for individual 1. Okay, a set of indifference curve. And similarly for individual 2. Now look, B, the indifference curve B is showing higher utility as compared to indifference curve A. Okay, because you are moving away from the origin, so it is giving you higher and higher total utility. If you are moving away from O1, it will show higher and higher total utility of the first individual. Okay, and if you are moving like this, look, C, D, these are the indifference curve for individual 2. For individual 2, C is giving higher utility than D. Why? Because these indifference curves are moving away from O2. So this is how we have drawn two set of indifference curves. First one for individual 1 and the second set for individual 2 in the same diagram. Okay, so that is the beauty of the edgeward box diagram. You can draw indifference curve set of the two individuals in a single diagram. Now look what happened. Initial equilibrium, the starting point may be anywhere in this box. Within the box, any point may be your starting point. Say the starting point is E. Okay, two indifference curve. This is the indifference curve of individual 2 and this is the indifference curve of individual 1. So they are intersecting each other at the point E. So this is the why we are considering that intersection, because that intersection is giving us that constraint one, that x1 plus x2 is equal to x bar, y1 plus y2 is y bar. So say it is here. Actually, there are infinite number of indifference curves. There are infinite number, but we are taking a few of them. Now look, the question is, so whether equilibrium E is a stable equilibrium or not, because or whether equilibrium E is the optimum equilibrium or not, or you can say whether equilibrium E or that point E is the equilibrium at all or not. That is our concern. Okay, so here we have to check it. How? Very simple. Just make, for example, just assume that in indifference curve of individual 2 is constant. That means this is constant. Okay, you are, because again, look, in your mind you have that efficiency concept. You have to find out whether that point E is the efficient or not. So how to check it? Very simple. Consider utility of individual 2 is constant. That means here. Okay. Now you are improving utility of individual 1. That means you can draw করা যায়? দাঁড়াও তো। দেখো, you can draw individual 1's indifference curve like this. You are moving from E, right? You can come here. You can come here like this. Okay, these are giving higher and higher utility of individual 1. So whether equilibrium E is efficient or not, that is our concern. No? So E is not the efficient point. E is not the efficient point. Why? Given the utility of individual 2, you can improve utility of individual 1. So it is inefficient. E is the inefficient point. Okay. Why
Ma'am,
inefficient?
can you repeat this? Can you repeat this
Yes.
part?
Yes. What is my question? My question is whether that E is the efficient, Pareto efficient or not. Okay. To be very specific, whether this E is Pareto efficient or not. This is our question. So to check it, what we did, we just assume indifference curve of individual 2 is constant. That is, the utility of individual 2 is constant. That means we are on this indifference curve. And given this indifference curve, we are improving utility of individual 1. By this indifference curve, by this higher and higher indifference curve, you can go. Given the utility of individual 2, you can improve utility of individual 1. When we are moving from E to this point, okay, so when we are moving from equilibrium E to this point, if you look at my cursor, this point to this point to this point, that means given the utility of individual 2, you can improve utility of individual 1. Do you agree with me or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If you agree, then try to remember the definition of Pareto inefficiency. What Pareto inefficiency is saying? That given the welfare of one individual, if you increase welfare of another individual, then it is Pareto inefficient. So here we are getting the same thing. Given the utility of the second individual, I can improve utility of the first individual. Okay, so that point E is not Pareto efficient. This point is not Pareto efficient. This point is also not Pareto efficient. Okay. So like any point like this, these are not Pareto efficient. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Then where is the efficiency? If these are all the inefficient points, then where is the Pareto efficiency? Pareto efficiency is coming at E1. Why? Because here two indifference curves are tangent to each other. You are drawing like this. Okay, let me draw. So we are drawing like this and this. Finally, you have this tangent indifference curve. Then after, again, you want to draw higher indifference curve for individual 1, then you have to go to the lower indifference curve of individual 2, right? If you want to draw another indifference curve like this, then it will be on the lower indifference curve of individual 2. It will not be on the same indifference curve of individual 2. That means here, if you want to improve utility of the first individual, you have to sacrifice utility of the second individual. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
এটা কি করে মোছে দাঁড়াও তো খুব কিরকম একটা নোংরা টাইপ হয়ে গেছে জাস্ট আ মিনিট ওয়েট yes so I'm removing these also
ম্যাম
yes
ম্যাম দুটো আইসি ইন্টারসেক্ট করলে ইকুইলিব্রিয়াম বলবো কেন?
no equilibrium not though, this is just a point. This is not the equilibrium, this is our starting point. This is the starting point. It may be the inefficient point, and it is actually inefficient. From the inefficient point, here we are moving to the efficiency. We are checking that how to get efficiency from the inefficient point. Okay? This is not equilibrium, this is our starting point. Okay. Any further question?
So when there is a
Ma'am,
Pareto
how
efficiency,
can
Just a minute.
so when
একজন
there is
একজন করে বলো.
so when there is ma'am, Pareto efficiency, like the IC of consumer one is tangent
Here.
to the IC of consumer two, right? So
Yes.
ওটা কেন tangent কেন with the other one?
That is what I explained now. If you are here like E, these are all the Pareto inefficiency. Given the indifference curve of the
No,
second individual, you can go to the higher indifference curve of individual one. So all those points are Pareto inefficient. But at this point, after this point, if you want to increase utility of first individual again, then you have to go to the lower indifference curve of individual two, right? If you want to draw another if you want to draw another indifference curve of individual 1 to give him higher utility, then it will be on the lower indifference curve of individual 2. So that means if you want to improve utility of one, you have to sacrifice utility of another. So that is why this is the optimal. You are moving from here, all the inefficiencies, you are coming over all the inefficiencies and you have achieved efficiency finally here.
ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, how can two indifference curves even touch each other?
Oh, these are the indifference curve of two other individuals. Two
Yes, ma'am.
separate
So
individuals.
how can they,
Why not?
ma'am? How can they intersect? Like, how can they even be tangent or touch each other?
Why not? There are two separate individuals. Their decisions, their utility, everything is different. For the same individual, indifference curves cannot intersect each other. But to separate individuals, their indifference curve can easily intersect each other. Their slopes are quite different. One may be risk lover, one may be risk averse, whatever they are. Their choices are different.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
they may intersect and they may intersect. Their slopes are different actually. They are two separate entities. Okay. So their choice, their idea, everything is different. So for the same individual, for the same consumer, indifference curve cannot intersect each other. They are parallel to each other. But for the different individual, they can.
Okay, ma'am.
And when I did all those indifference curve, now when I draw all those indifference curve, I tried hard to make them parallel to each other for a single individual. That you have to do. Look at this A, B, this thing. I have tried hard to make them parallel to each other because these are representing a single individual. That is individual 1. And here from individual 2. It's a bit confusing because in the same diagram we are drawing indifference set actually, indifference map of two separate individuals and the axes are also quite different. It's a mirror image. One is here, another is here. So it's a diagonal. So try to understand the diagram first. Huh? Once it is clear, the remaining portion will be easier. Up to this point, is it okay that why E1 is the Pareto efficient one and E is Pareto inefficient one?
Yes,
If
ma'am.
not, is okay. Anyone else? If you have any query, anyone from this class?
Ma'am, you said that the two ICs, the slopes are different.
Yes.
But ma'am, Pareto efficiency তো সেম হবে তাহলে।
আরে সে তো একটা পয়েন্টে গিয়ে সেম হচ্ছে।
হ্যাঁ ম্যাম, ওটাই জিজ্ঞেস করছিলাম।
হ্যাঁ,
ঠিক
কারণ
আছে।
কি দুজনে তো উল্টো দিকে যাচ্ছে। একজন এপাশ থেকে এপাশে যাচ্ছে, একজন এপাশ থেকে এপাশে যাচ্ছে। তো স্লোপস খুব না আলাদা। একটা পয়েন্টে তো তারা ট্যানজেন্ট হতেই পারে। দুজনেই যদি এই অ্যাক্সিস থেকে মাপা হতো দেন ইট উইল বি ডিফিকাল্ট। বাট দ্য অরিজিনস আর ডিফারেন্ট। Is it okay? Any other query? Is there any other query? Anyone else? So many students are present in the class. You can ask because this is something new, very new to us. Pareto efficiency, age word box, everything is new for us. So if you have any query, you are free to ask. And this is the last chapter we are discussing, so we have enough time. Okay. As no questions are coming, so I'm just assuming everything is okay for everyone. Now look, uh, if the tangency, that is E1, is the Pareto efficiency or Pareto efficient point, then you can say E2 is another Pareto efficient point. Wherever you are getting the tangency between two indifference curve of two individuals, then these points are giving us the Pareto efficiency, right? So with the same logic, this point, these are all the points giving us the Pareto efficient allocation of the commodities. Okay, this point is giving Pareto efficient allocation, this point also, this point, this. So these are the points. Similarly, you can draw here also. Okay, you can draw here also this type of, look, you may get this thing, this is a Pareto efficient point, you may get this thing, this is Pareto efficiency. Okay, so all those tangencies are giving us the Pareto efficiency one. Okay, now look, as we are starting from E and we are getting two Pareto efficient point, one is E1 and another is E2. Given the indifference curve of individual 2, if you can move along the indifference curve of individual 2, you can get E1 as the Pareto efficient one. Similarly, given the indifference curve of individual 1, if you move along the curve, then you may go to U2. Okay, so this area between this E1 and E2, look at this area, is just like the ridgeline concept. This is called the core area. Okay, so this area is called the core area. First thing. And second, if you join all those Pareto efficient points, that means all those tangencies. Okay. So if you join origins with all those tangencies, let me draw. Yes, it will be like this. Now, it will be like this. This part I have done. And then after it will be all those tangencies and the origin. So curve will be like this. This curve is called the contract curve. So the contract curve is giving us the Pareto efficient allocation of commodities. Any point on the contract curve is Pareto efficient. Is it okay? Any point on the contract curve is Pareto efficient. It is written over here. Draw, look, this is the diagram. This is the diagram. Okay, O1, O2, and this is the contract curve. बुझा गया? So another
Ma'am, in
new
exam we
concept.
will draw.
Yes, you have to.
Ma'am, in exam we will draw this box structure, and there will be O1 and O2 and no axis.
No axis means these are axis. বলেছে কোথায় axis নেই কেন? These are axis. This is the
So
horizontal axis.
O1,
This is the,
oh, no, ma'am, O1 and O2 are sufficient to mention.
yes, yes, yes. Because the sum
Okay, ma'am.
total is constant. There is no, it is not unlimited. Generally, we are writing like this. We are making axis in this way, arrow. But this arrow is not applicable here because it's a constant, fixed. Y1 plus Y2 is equal to Y bar. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
দাঁড়াও প্রচুর নোংরা করে ফেলেছি, let me erase. Yes, so I have this thing. So what are the new concepts introduced in this class. The first one is Pareto efficiency, second one is Pareto inefficiency, third one is Edgeworth box diagram, and the fourth one is contract curve. Okay? So contract curve is here.
ম্যাম
Yes.
ম্যাম যদি আমার রিসোর্সেস গিভেন থাকে তাহলে
Hmm.
মানে একটা ফিক্সড অ্যামাউন্ট অফ রিসোর্সেস ইফ ইট ইজ গিভেন, তাহলে কি আমি আলাদা আলাদা প্যারেটো
Hmm.
এফিসিয়েন্ট পয়েন্টস পাবো, কন্ট্রাক্ট কার্ভ পাবো?
না 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 না, তা কি করে পাবে? আলাদা আলাদা মানেটা কি?
Like because x bar and y bar can vary, so I'm getting a contract curve, right?
No, X bar and Y bar cannot vary.
Like
This
then
is
why am I getting
constant.
that curve, ma'am? Why am I getting multiple Pareto efficient
These are
allocations?
the different options. No, these are the different options, Pareto efficient options, because consumer can change its choice. Okay, consumer can go to the higher indifference curve, consumer can move to the lower indifference curve, but then another individual's utility will be changed accordingly. If you want to improve, utility of the first individual, utility of the second individual has to be sacrificed if you are on the contract curve. So contract curve is giving you that option. Okay, contract curve is giving you that option that you are on the Pareto efficient one, and how you can, given the Pareto efficiency, how you can change your consumption pattern, how you can change the resources, or how you can allocate the commodities among two consumers so that the Pareto efficiency will be there. Given this contract curve, it is actually, look, this is not the concept of the consumer. This is actually the concept of the economy as a whole. Economy means the central authority. The central authority knows this is the contract curve. Okay, so he has to think that what will be the utility for individual one. If that will be the utility of individual one, then individual two's utility should be this. Then only you can get the Pareto efficient allocation. So this is how contract curve is helping. You can move along the curve. Two individuals can move along the curve. This is the possibility. Contract curve is giving you the possibility. But the length of the horizontal and the vertical intercept is constant. You cannot change it. Say, okay. I think it is not clear to you now. Say initially this is the point. Now, given this point, the economy or the authority of the economy is thinking that I will increase utility of the first individual, but I must maintain Pareto efficiency. Okay, this is the initial point. This is, say, it is the Pareto efficiency one, but given this Pareto efficiency, given this equilibrium point, the authority is thinking that I will improve utility of the first individual with Pareto efficient allocation. I am not going for Pareto inefficiency. I will maintain Pareto efficiency. I will maintain Pareto efficiency. Given the Pareto efficiency, I will increase utility of the first individual. Then how he can do this? He can improve this one. But here, utility of the second individual will be reduced. But how much to be reduced? That information is given by the contract curve. Okay, so that much. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So sometimes the name of the contract curve is written as a CC, contract curve, CC. Okay. But remember one thing, here you cannot change the axis, okay, the length of the box. You cannot change. It is given. X bar, Y bar, these are given. Given these resources, given the commodities available, how you can allocate the consumption so that there will be consumption efficiency. This is the objective of the contract. Okay. Now here, look. Okay. Any point? Any Doubt up to this point?
Ma'am, what was core region?
Core region is the area between E1, E2. Yeah, look, that is- yes, E1, E2. This is the core region. Okay, this is the inefficient point. If you move along this line, then you can come E2. If you move along this line, you can achieve E1. Okay, so this area between E1 and E2 is called the core area. Given the inefficient one E, if you can change, you can change E. It may be here, it may be here, and accordingly your core area will change. Okay, you can draw E here like this. This is one indifference curve. So there is another indifference curve. So your that may be the inefficient point, and from that you may get the efficient. You may get that efficiency one here and efficiency one is here. So now this area, say it is E3. So then M E3 E1 is the core area. Acha. Look, this is just for the simplicity, as it is the tangency between two indifference curves, so you can understand what will be the consumer optimality condition. This is a slope. Tangency means the slopes are different. Slopes are same. Sorry, slopes are same. Slopes are equal. So that means MRS of individual 1 is equal to MRS of individual 2. So this is the consumption optimality condition from the diagram. From the diagram, we can see that MRS1 is equal to MRS2. This is the consumption optimality condition. Okay. And that consumption optimality is represented by our contract curve. Now look, given this contract curve, look, along the contract curve, if you are moving from O1 to O2, then utility of the first individual is increasing and utility of the second individual is falling. So you can say when there is Pareto efficiency and the first individual's utility is rising, then second individual's utility should fall. It must fall, right? So if you plot all those utility values in the next diagram, that diagram will be like this. Look, on the horizontal axis, I am measuring utility of the first individual, that is U1. Along the vertical axis, I am measuring utility of the second individual, that is U2. And as I can say, if I increase the utility of the first individual, then utility of the second individual must fall to maintain Pareto efficiency, right? So I'm just plotting all those U1 and U2. It is uneven but downward sloping. Definitely downward sloping, because if you increase U1, you have to reduce U2. But there is no exact shape. Okay, so this is called utility possibility frontier. This is called utility possibility frontier, UPF, just like our PPF. It's very similar, no? Very close to our PPF. That was production possibility frontier, and it is utility possibility frontier. The shape is very much uneven. There is no particular shape, not a very smooth one, but downward sloping. There is an inverse relation. Okay. So up to this point, is it okay? Utility possibility frontier.
Uneven क्या ना मैम?
Uneven because there is no particular reason. Your contract curve is also uneven. Look, your contract curve is uneven. There is no particular shape. It may be tarabeka type of thing.
मैंने the trade-off is not at a constant rate.
Yes. There is no constant substitution. Okay, the substitutability is not a constant. It's not a fixed ratio. of production, it is not. When we will discuss, you can understand. But here, it is no such constraint is there. So this diagram portion, if the diagram portion is clear, then I will go to the mathematical part. Is it okay? And look, these classes are also available from the last 4 sem. In your college LMS, these are already available. At that time, I was not showing this way. Okay, that time I was following a very, the primitive technique. I just show it in front of the camera and explain it. Somehow it was still in front of the camera, so it's a very primitive technology I used in the last fourth sem. But anyway, all these things are available there. The class notes are all these things are available, so you can watch them. These are the video lectures. These are there in college LMS for the last year, last sem 4. That means who are now in sem 6. Everything is not available because initially we have started our sem 4 last year offline mode. After some time it is converted to online, so that is why all the syllabus of sem 4 is not available in LMS, but the general equilibrium part and maybe the factor input, that input pricing part, these things are there. Anyway, I'm going to the mathematical part. The mathematical part is relatively easy for you, because here we are going to maximize utility of the first individual given the utility of the second individual, and these things are constant. As I said, x1 plus x2 is equal to x bar, y1 plus y2 is equal to y bar. These things are already there. Okay, so you have 3 constants and you are going to maximize utility of the first individual. So just put the Lagrange equation. This is our Lagrange equation. Then we are doing the first order condition. These are the first order condition. So many variables are there, so you have to differentiate with respect to all of them. From the first one, that is del L del x1 and del L del y1, you are getting del u1. That this is nothing but the marginal utility of x1. Marginal utility of x for individual one. Okay, and this is the marginal utility of y for individual one. And from 3 and 4 first order condition, you are getting the ratio of marginal utility of x and marginal utility of y for individual 2, and the ratios are same, the values are same. So you can write from these 4, and the next one is just the differentiation with respect to the multiplier, lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3. And here from the first 4 equations, you are getting these two equality because the right hand sides are equal. So from there you are getting MRS1 is equal to MRS2. Okay. So diagrammatically, logically, and mathematically, the Pareto efficiency in the consumption side is the Pareto efficient condition for the consumption is MRS1 is equal to MRS2. Okay. Up to this mathematical part is okay? Or any query? It's a lengthy one. The mathematics is a lengthy one, but simple. Oh.
ma'am, it's clear. You can move ahead.
Okay. Now, there is a common question from the general equilibrium analysis regarding the perfect competition. So, there is a question that whether perfect competition is giving Pareto efficiency or not. So, here as we have discussed only the consumption side, so we are going to check whether in case of perfect competition in the consumption side, there is Pareto efficiency or not. Okay. Now you know what is the Pareto efficiency condition. It is just the ratio of the marginal utility, and say it is the perfect competition. Okay. Now in the perfect competition at the equilibrium, marginal utility, the ratio of the marginal utility, that is MRS. MRS is equal to what? MRS is equal to price ratio at the equilibrium, if you can remember. In case of perfect competition, for a single individual, MRS is equal to Px by Py. And the same thing is
Yes,
true.
ma'am.
And the same thing is true for the second individual. MRS of that individual also is equal to Px by Py. So as Px and Py, these are what? These are the prices of two commodities. And as it is the perfect competition, Px is given, Py is also given. Right? So Px by Py, this is same for both the individuals. So once you are achieving equilibrium in the perfect competition, it is Pareto efficient. Once you are achieving MRS is equal to Px by Py by, say there are n number of individuals in the perfectly competitive market. For all the individual, once they are having their equilibrium, their optimum consumption, once uh, they can found the optimal consumption pattern, it will be Pareto efficient. Because MRS is equal to Px by Py. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is Pareto efficiency is always there if in the product market there is perfect competition. If consumers are facing perfectly competitive situation, then definitely it is Pareto efficient. Ultimate consumption will be Pareto efficient. It's not like every time it is Pareto efficient. No. In the perfectly competitive market, when the consumers achieve their optimum consumption bundle, that consumption bundle is Pareto efficient. So perfect competition is
So, ma'am,
giving us
is it,
Pareto.
ma'am, is it
Yes,
short term or long term?
always, always. Because prices are given to you always. For a single individual, it is given. For the market as a whole, it is the normal demand and supply curve. But for the single individual, for a consumer, then it is given. Short run and long
No,
run
ma'am, but
both.
if it is Pareto inefficient, then
Yeah.
it's incorporated immediately. So it can be termed as short term if it is inefficient.
That is why. So that is not the optimum. Okay, as I said that in case of perfect competition, when you find out the optimum consumption bundle, that will be Pareto efficient. Okay, if you are going here and there under the perfectly competitive market, every time you are not getting Pareto efficiency. But once you find out the optimum consumption bundle, that will be Pareto efficient. Because at the what is the optimality condition? The optimality condition is MRS is equal to Px by Py. Okay. And when you are moving like
Okay,
this
ma'am.
and that, so this is the imperfection. There is exit, entry. So this is short run, definitely. This is short run.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so this is for the consumption. Now we will go to the production. But before going to the production, let me go back to the consumption again. Okay, so here again, and the general equilibrium, what I said, it is actually the general, it is the overall equilibrium of the economy, you can say. So it will be discussed under three portions. The first section is the consumption, second section is the production, and the third one is the general efficiency. Okay, and here we will check how to achieve Pareto efficiency. This is our objective. So the first new concept here is the Pareto efficiency. The second new concept under the consumption efficiency is the Edgeworth box diagram. The third new concept is the contract curve. And the core is also something new. And the contract curve is, from the contract curve, you can draw your utility possibility frontier, that is UPF. So UPF is giving you the option to have the Pareto efficiency in the consumption side. Okay, and the equilibrium condition from the diagram, and logically also that equality between the MRS. And also from the mathematics, you can find the same equilibrium condition. And the last one is under perfect competition, how we are achieving the Pareto efficiency. So under the perfect competition, when you are consuming at the optimum consumption bundle, when you are consuming your optimum consumption bundle, that will be always Pareto efficient. Why? Because the prices are given. And at the equilibrium, MRS is equal to the ratio of those prices. Okay. So this is what I discussed about the consumption efficiency. Now the production efficiency. Will I start production efficiency?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the production efficiency, again, there are two producers, X and Y. Okay. In case of the consumption efficiency, there are two consumers, 1 and 2. And here there are two producers, X and Y, and two factors of production, L and K. Okay. And there is full employment of the factors, just like before. So Lx plus Ly, you can understand Lx means the amount of labor used in the production of X, and Ly is the amount of labor used in the production of Y. Okay. So this is equal to L bar. Similarly, we are getting K bar. So L bar and K bar, these are there. Now here, again the Edgeworth box diagram is there. OX, that is the origin for production of X, is here, and origin of production of Y is here. And here, in place of indifference curve, you can draw isoquant, right? The same logic, you are drawing the isoquant. The length of the horizontal and the vertical axis is given the amount of labor and capital. And these are given. You cannot change the axis, just like before. These are the contract curve. Again, this is the contract curve you can see. This is the contract curve. And these are the isoquants. Okay, these short things, these are the isoquants. You can make it larger. No harm. Okay, so this is the contract curve. Now look, here the contract curve has a specific shape. It is not like that uneven one in case of the consumption. It's a smooth one, and look, it is below the diagonal. Okay, it is below the, either it is below the diagonal or it is above the diagonal. Okay. Now I am asking you one question. Here I have drawn the contract curve below the diagonal. Can you explain why it is below the diagonal? You may draw it here also, no issue. But it will not look, it may be like this. It may be like, just a minute. It may be like this. That may be your contract curve. But your contract curve cannot be, your contract curve cannot be like this. This is not allowed. This is not allowed. Either below the diagonal or above that. Look, this is the contract curve in case of the consumption efficiency, uneven. But here it is not allowed. Can you explain why?
Technology given will.
No. No. Think of it. Okay, I'm giving you one task to the class as a whole. Think of it. Why your contract curve in case of the production either below the diagonal or above the diagonal? Why it cannot intersect. It may, obviously, there are some special cases, but in general, they cannot go up and below of your diagonal, either below or up. Why it is? This is your home task. Think of
ম্যাম
it.
Ma'am,
যদি
due to their marginal product,
Yes? বলো
due
না,
to
শুনছি।
marginal product of each firm.
So, marginal product, fine, then?
So, ma'am, their ratio that we read in Sem 3, the ratio between uh, like uh, their efficient frontier, we read that.
No,
So by that logic,
no, no. They are efficient in what sense? How can you explain their efficiency? What is the indicator of efficiency? Efficiency, you cannot explain the situation with the help of efficiency.
ma'am,
You
the
are trying
ratio of their marginal products of their capital,
of their,
like ratio of MPKs of each firm.
uh, no. Why MPK? Why not MPL? Yeah, think of it.
ম্যাম যদি
Yes.
ডায়াগোনালটা যদি লাইনটা ডায়াগোনাল হয় তার মানে
Hmm.
দ্যাট উইল বি এ স্ট্রেট লাইন রাইট তার মানে আমার
কোথায়
যে
গেল?
হ্যাঁ
হ্যাঁ, বলো বলো।
হ্যাঁ তো তার মানে আমার যে ট্রেড অফটা হবে এল আর কে এর মধ্যে সেটা দ্যাট উইল বি কনস্ট্যান্ট মানে
জাস্ট আ মিনিট,
রেটটা
আমার
কনস্ট্যান্ট
আমার আমার স্ক্রিনটা বোধহয় শেয়ার হচ্ছে না, না?
না
ওফো, অশান্তি। Just a minute. Yeah. Now is it visible?
ইয়েস ম্যাম
Now tell me your answer.
like if it was a diagonal that then it would have been a straight line right তার মানে
Yes.
হ্যাঁ তার মানে যে ট্রেড অফটা হবে মানে দ্য হায়ার প্রোডাক্ট আর লোয়ার প্রোডাক্ট যেমন ইউটিলিটিতে উই স তো দ্যাট উইল নট বি অ্যাট আ কনস্ট্যান্ট রেট সো লাইক দ্য মানে এই কনস্ট্যান্ট রেটে হবে না ওইটা তার জন্য লাইক উই স ইন ইউপিএফ না ইউটিলিটি পসিবিলিটি ফ্রন্টিয়ার
তো কেন হবে না? That is my question. কেন হবে না? Why is a smooth one? When I discussed about the UPF, I said in case of production, it is not like that uneven. It have a particular shape, and it is here. Look here, the contract curve is very smooth one. I am asking why it is smooth one and why it is below the diagonal or above the diagonal. Why it is not uneven? Okay, think of it. Today I am leaving. Think of it. In the next class we will discuss.
Ma'am,
Yes.
what is the reference for this portion?
Yes, the reference is actually, look, uh, you can follow Pindak and Rubenfeld, but I'm following Ferguson and Gold. Look, as it is a theory, as I said, it is same. Okay? It is same in any of the standard book. You may follow Pindak and Rubenfeld, but from my side, I am following Ferguson and Gold. Okay. So if Ferguson and Gold is available, you can go with it, or if it is not available, then follow Pindyke. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.